It may be that nobody owns a cat, but scientists now say that the popular pet has lived with people for 12,000 years. There are many quotes about cats, such as, "A dog is a man's best friend, a cat is a cat's best friend. Cats are connoisseurs of comfort, and what greater gift than the love of a cat." Of course, there is such a thing as a domestic cat, and cats and humans have enjoyed a mostly interdependent relationship for thousands of years. But the quips do illuminate a very real uncertainty in the long relationship between cats and humans, as the history of the house cat shows. Just when and where cats first became domesticated has taken some time for scientists to unravel. One might expect the archaeological record might answer the question easily, but wild cats and domesticated cats have remarkably similar skeletons, complicating the matter. And it was in 2007 that a study published in the research journal Science put together more pieces of the puzzle based on genetic analyses. And authors concluded that all domesticated cats descended from a Middle Eastern wild cat, Felis sylvestris, which literally means cat of the woods. Cats were first domesticated in the Near East, and some of the study authors speculated that the process began up to 12,000 years ago. I went to visit Becci and Rosie and Dawn and asked them about their love of cats.
Why do I love cats? Because, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but they're like little people. They've all got their own personalities. They're all completely different, and they're not like dogs. Like dogs just do what you tell them to, but cats kind of take a message and get back to you, and it's quite endearing. Yeah.
I think it started for me with Postman Pat, actually. That's what my mum tells me anyway. So when I was really, really young, I was completely obsessed with Postman Pat, and I got obsessed with Jess the cat, the black and white cat. And our next door neighbour had a black and white cat, and as soon as I could speak, I just nagged for a black and white cat.
I think with me, we weren't allowed cats because my mum hated them. She just didn't like them, didn't trust them. She was a dog person. And when I was a teenager, I went to see a friend who had a lot of feral cats in her house, and one of the kittens came and sat on my knee, and it was only that big. And I fell in love that instant and adopted her and her sister as soon as they were old enough to come home with me. So I think the reason there are so many cats on YouTube is just because they are so funny to watch. They're very entertaining. They like to play, they're active.
Yeah. And the thing is with cats, unlike, because you don't really train them, they do what they want to do. So they do the unexpected, and you can find that a particular cat will have a certain habit that they do over and over again, and you've no idea where it came from. And I think people enjoy watching that, an animal that's just of its own accord decides it wants to sit here or do this or make this sound, and I think it's a very endearing quality they have.
Well, they're cute, aren't they? There's something relaxing about looking at them, and I think people have done a bit of research on it, and it's all to do with the eyes. The eyes are nice and big. Yeah, there's something relaxing about watching cats on the internet. Ridiculously smart, because they know things. Like our cat Boo, our oldest cat, she turned up at our house and she knew she'd be well looked after, and they can do things like be spiteful or be a bit naughty, and you have to have a brain to do that, when they sit and knock things over when you're watching them. Yeah, they're clever animals.
Cats vary in smartness as much as humans vary in smartness. I think that's my experience. So some of them are incredibly clever, and they can be very, very streetwise. You know, you can most of the time trust that you can let your cat out and it will do what it needs to do and it will come back and it will generally look after itself. But, you know, amongst the cats I've had quite a huge range of intellect. Are you clever?
He's very smart.
You are, aren't you?
I think also with cats, they have a great deal of wily sense and street sense, but they have absolutely no common sense. So they get themselves into some very stupid binds.
I think they love me. Other people think it's cupboard love. But I think they love me because they come and sit with me and sleep with me when it's not dinner time. So one of my cats, Wilson, we fall asleep together holding hands, and that's not dinner time. So I think he loves me as well.
Whether or not a cat loves you or it's cupboard love is, again, I think very dependent on the cat.
Yeah.
I know that my cats get jealous. Even when there's no food involved, if one of the cats is up for a fuss, the other cats will get upset about that. So there is a certain craving for attention. Whether you could call that love or not is another matter. But I think so. I mean, a couple of my cats insist on grooming me, which is what they do to each other to show affection. So
Yeah, I have that too. I don't really care. Actually, I'll be honest. I don't really care whether it's real or not, because it's just, it is what it is, isn't it? And I think certainly I have Charlie really loves to be with a person. I wouldn't say that would be me over another person if he got to know them, but some of them definitely like to be with humans a lot more than others. And I think, you know, yeah, I think with Paul and it's probably cupboard love with him. He's not that fussed about me, but the others.
I think cat owners are different to dog owners as well, because whereas you want to believe your cat loves you, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. As long as it behaves like it loves me, then I don't care if it does.
I've never disliked a particular cat. I've been cautious of particular cats because particular cats can turn on a dime, because I deal with a lot of feral cats. So I don't think it's so much a dislike, but sometimes you have to respect that they really are not very nice.
No, I've never disliked a particular cat. I would say that there are many cats that have challenging behaviours. Cleo, one of our cats, she's very sweet, but she'll take your face off as soon as look at you if she's not in the mood. I dislike that behaviour, but I don't dislike the cat.
See, every cat that I brought along with me here today is completely different to one another.
Unequivocally.
Yeah.
Like, again, within the same with intelligence, I would say with their personalities, it definitely does vary as much as you would find that from human to human. And the interesting thing about them is, you know, I've had cats from a variety of different backgrounds and from different litters, and then two that were brothers, and even the two that were brothers that came from a lovely background, a lovely home, their personalities were completely different, and they'd had exactly the same life from day one. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of it which is nature. They just, I think, as well as nurture with cats.
I think cats have a natural need to find a den. Like if you ever find a nursing mum cat, she'll be under a decking, she'll be in a corner. They like to hide away, but there's something about the scratchy noise of cardboard as well that just really attracts a cat. And paper generally, because it gets warm. They like to sit on paper.
Yeah.
But mostly they're just weird.
I have one that likes to sit on plastic bags.
I've got two that like to sit on plastic bags.
Yeah, definitely on plastic bags. And yeah, I think the box thing though, they love that feeling of security. It's a kind of so.
If we bring in a nervous cat and put it in a crate, we will cover every side apart from one little gap, and that's the only way to calm them down. So I think it's mostly security.
Moggies.
Moggies all the day. Pedigrees are very beautiful, but they're so inbred. Lots more health difficulties, lots more lower intelligence. But I mean, if you want an intelligent cat and a very individual cat, a Moggie's better.
I mean, and it's not as if, I mean, look at him. He's beautiful.
These are all Moggies.
And he's a Moggie.
Yeah.
They're still beautiful. And a lot of Moggies, you know, a lot of them are never truly Moggy, you know. There's always some that come up, aren't they, with rescues and things. You see it all the time. And I've got one upstairs that's definitely probably 50% Maine Coon. I've got another one that's probably definitely 50% British Shorthair. And they have some of those traits, but actually they have those nice traits of the breed, but without the I found the treats without the a lot of the problems that come with pure breed cats as well, you know. And also, the other fact of the matter is, a lot of places, if you have a pure breed cat that costs hundreds of pounds, I wouldn't feel comfortable. You know, people let those cats out; they go missing.
People steal them.
People steal them, yeah. And no one's going to steal my scraggy old bunch.
Also, because I work in rescue, I'm very against breeding. Because all the shelters are full. There's a lot of cats being put to sleep, and I don't like breeding, full stop.
No.
Not until we got over the cat population crisis. Cats just have, I think a lot of it's the hunting instinct. They've got a very high prey drive that's just part of their personality and part of who they are. A lot of the curiosity comes from that. They're on the hunt, they're on the prowl.
Brie.
But they're just naturally curious creatures. Again, every single cat is different. Some cats are very, very people cats. Some cats are natural lap cats and they want to play with people. And some cats just want to be outside chasing the birds. It's very personality driven.
Have you got any people that eat weird food?
No, mine just keep trying to steal bread and butter.
Okay, so I made 2 discoveries last week, actually. One of them is that I made some pea soup and I put the bowl down and Charlie licked it clean and then demanded some more pea soup. And I thought maybe Rocky would like some. Rocky's a bit of a kind of bin dog. I put that down for him, he wasn't interested. But I threw a pea on the floor to see if he would play with it and he ate it. So I've got one that likes pea soup and one that just likes plain peas. And Rocky will also eat curry, pizza. He will eat anything and he frequently comes back covered in like that orange fat grease on his face because he's diving behind the Chinese takeaway. I know it. But yeah, so pea soup, probably the weirdest things.
My first 2 cats, one of them would eat broccoli and the other one would eat cauliflower. But if you gave it them the wrong way round, they'd swap places. Because neither of them would eat the other. And we never found out what that was about. And Han had a cat that whenever she had anybody round and had cheesecake out, it was obsessed with cheesecake. But it breaks into the kitchen cupboards to steal the bread and the butter as well. It's ate half a loaf of bread before now. By breaking into the cupboard while she was out and taking it and eating the whole loaf. About 9 months ago, I started volunteering as what they call a microchip scanner with an animal charity, where you get a microchip reader, and if people find cats or dogs, dead or alive, you go out and you scan it and you try and get it home. I started doing that just because I'm the kind of person, if I see a dog running down the street, I'll go and catch it anyway, so it was handy to be part of a team, rather than just taking them to vets on my own. As part of doing that, I went out to Bree's mum, this little girl's mum, and she was in a coal hole in someone's gardening court and hadn't left and was very heavily pregnant. So me being naive said, oh, well, I'll find a rescue space for her then and put her in my car. And then found out there aren't any rescue spaces and I just had a pregnant cat. So I took her home and she had her kittens at my house and we raised them. This one's her daughter that's got a few special needs, so we've kept her and the mum. But it opened my eyes to the fact that if you call some of the bigger animal charities and tell them there's a pregnant cat in your garden, they just tell you to leave it there because there's nowhere to tend it.
I asked Rosie, Dawn and Becky what is their idea of a stereotypical cat. As you'll hear from their replies, this is very much a debatable question. All cats have their own unique personalities, and discovering and embracing their traits and individualities is just one of the joys of owning or being owned by a cat.
Mad.
Stereotypical cat. Individual, independent and awkward.
Yeah, I was going to say difficult.
Yeah. Cats are a challenge.
Beautiful. They're beautiful creatures. They really are beautiful creatures. And, yeah.
Smart,